All right, so what I am going to be doing is comparing my career in engineering as a construction estimator and project manager to a few of the more well known careers out there that you may find yourself in currently, or you may be looking to go into, you're doing research on. I know that my career field isn't as well known out there. So I just wanted to kind of pro and con my career field versus these. And so to kind of give you a little bit more background on my career field, something I've been doing since 2019 whenever I got out of the Air Force, which I was in the Air Force for 4 years before that. And it's kind of related to what I do now, and at least I can use it on my resume for the same experience because what I was doing before was construction, and that was in the Air Force. So it's what I've been doing for the past 5 years. It involves mostly just being behind a computer at a cubicle in someone's office, kind of doing the normal 9 to 5. My schedule is normally like a 7 to 4 sort of schedule, but 40 hours a week. And every now and then we have to leave the office to kind of do something out in the field somewhere. But for the most part, we just get to stay in the office, be on the computer, and do paperwork and other interesting construction related things with blueprints and filing jobs, winning jobs, talking to people, emailing people, the normal of an office sort of environment. The lowest that I've made in my career is 42,500, and that was back in 2019, and all the way up to 114,000. So, knowing that background, let's get started. So, first one is nursing. What do I know about nursing? So, from what I've seen, and this is barring anything about a traveling nurse, because I know that they make ungodly amounts of money doing that for probably short amounts of time. They could probably do their job for like 6 months of the year, make what most people make in a year. And the norm for a nurse that I've seen is like anywhere between like 75 and 95,000 according to where you are across the country. Of course, leaning higher in a place like California, Maryland, New York, Connecticut. Yeah, I've been a few other places, and then trending down in places like Alabama or South Carolina or Mississippi. And I'd say that their job is a whole lot harder than what I have to do on a normal basis. Because, I mean, so you take the larger environment of a hospital, which for whatever reason tends to large groups of people don't tend to make the best work environments for whatever reason. I guess because it's so close to a high school environment or something like that. Of course, barring I've never done any of these careers, but just kind of based on what I know and of course watching other people go through the experience of living their lives as one of these, I've kind of seen a lot. And a lot of nurses don't particularly like the interaction with the patients over time, just because a lot of them can be rude or just socially inept, awkward, stuff like that. So constantly having to deal with people, which of course you'd probably take into account if you decided to be a nurse, and the administration, the networking outside of them or like above them, management, stuff like that, of course, tends to probably be a lot more strict, um, overbearing than an estimating environment where we're dealing with paperwork and they're dealing with lives. So I can easily see, even just law wise, but also management could probably be a big thing to where I'd be like, eh. So pay wise, eh, job and what you have to do in your description as a nurse, and like, and let's see, is there any um I will say like job availability and the ability to get a job after becoming a nurse and being able to keep a job even if, like, let's say if you lose your job, can you find a new one in the area without having to go to some completely different area or something like that. I'd say that that's pretty good for a nurse. You can pretty much go anywhere across the United States and they need you, which is why they already have traveling nursing as a thing. So I think that's enough about that. I mean, I'm not going to get into like any specialized nurses or anything. Just the generic nurse probably wouldn't take that job or even try to invest in learning in that direction. But that's just me, you know. It's just me. But at the same time, now that's kind of who I'm making these videos for. Is like my old self to kind of like bring me into the knowledge of estimating and what I do. But let's keep going. Software development. Yeah, an S tier class of career. I mean, for those of people who've been paying attention more recently with the massive layoffs that have gone on in tech and the software developers, IT, computer science, all of that stuff. I mean, that's kind of one thing, but it's kind of more, I'm not going to say new because there were tech layoffs back in during the pandemic and all that stuff too. But other than a lot of that and the fact that it's so daggone hard to learn code because I tried, I was like, whew, let me learn code because it's a pretty dope job. I think I I don't see much variance among a software developer really and myself. Pay wise, they can be paid extravagantly more. I could probably be paid extravagantly more in my career field according to what ways that I go, but nowhere near what a software developer can start touching. They can start touching like one or 180, 200, 300, as whereas I might top out at like 150 in Phoenix and maybe like 175 or something like that in California or New York or another higher cost of living state or city. But yeah, software development, if you can get into it, if you can learn it, if you can go through one of your boot camps and pick the skill up, I would do it. Get to work in an office out of the heat. And a lot of the times I'm going to keep mentioning this office thing because I was in the Air Force and we were definitely not in an office all the time. Military people know. But back to this. So, uh, let's see. Yeah, work life balance. I'm not fully sure about that because I'm pretty sure you can be pushed pretty hard. Like, yeah, it's cool and all that. Like, let's say a Google or I don't know, probably IBM has something dope too in their office, but Google has this cool office, but how long are you there? Like, is it so cool because you're there constantly all the time? If that's the case, then I'm good. I got a wife and kid. That's kind of what I take into account. Like, I'm 28, married, have a kid. I think about things a little bit differently than I did right before I kind of started adding things to my life for people, family. So at like maybe 22 years old, I'd be thinking about this differently, but kind of going from my point of view on is where I'm coming from these points of views too. Just wanted to add that little piece in there so you can see things the way that I'm seeing them as I tell you about them. And if you're not the way that I am right now, you will be eventually. So maybe it might be something to take into account. And yeah, so good software dev or development, human resources, HR. Ugh. I don't even. Yeah, let me not say that. I'm not gonna say I don't like HR. They might fire me. But nah, I'm not gonna say no one likes HR, but people are definitely scared of HR because that's where you go when you have to get fired. Even if you are getting laid off, which I still just consider being fired. I mean, it feels the same. Like, thank you for doing a great job here, deuces. But HR will still be there even if you're laid off. So whether you're getting fired or laid off, normally they'll be in the room or something like that. Whenever all of that stuff goes down, everybody knows that. That's kind of why they get the rep they do. The people, on the other hand, think about it this way: like, if you had to solve everybody's problem, if you had to let go of everybody, if you had to try and make friends while you work your job with the rep that HR has, like, it'd be kind of a hard life. I mean, people are going to argue, fight, bicker with one another, and you're going to have to solve it. So, timeout for adults, daycare for adults. You are the uh, daycare worker for for all of these jobs. I mean, that's kind of the perspective that I've gotten in the construction industry. I don't know, what it would be like in for a hospital for nursing or a lot of the a lot of the companies that I've worked for in construction have had either an IT guy or software or something guy. Um, so I'm not. I don't know. I get so Google human resources, probably somewhat similar to what I do now because I worked in corporate, you know, kind of that sort of environment. Um, Flip side of things, I mean, yeah, I guess you get to hire some people on board people onto the company. So that could be possibly fulfilling, having conversations. I don't know. I guess if you feel like talking to people all the time. Um, Human resources. I'm not sure about the pay. For some reason, I'm thinking like mid 50s, but they probably go up to like 100 or something like that. So I'm not going to like trip on the pay. It's probably like not too far off from like nursing pay wise. And yeah, I've met a few disgruntled HR managers in my life. I'm not going to say any names or company names, but like, I have real life experience with all these people, which I mean, realistically, like on this list, I mean, maybe if you've never been in trouble, which I'm kind of skipping a few, then you probably never had to talk to a lawyer. A real estate agent, I mean, probably if you're under the age of 25, then you probably haven't talked to one. But even people who are just like looking around, kind of BS and looking at stuff, just popping in and out, younger people do that a lot, and that's what me and my wife have done a lot of. And then maybe a software developer, there'd be no reason for you to ever run into one unless you had your own company that you were hiring one for. But most of these other people, like we've all met and seen. But what is the reality of what they're dealing with every day and actually having to go through at the end of the day? That's the question. Big one. Teacher. No. That's all I got to say about that. Next. I'm just playing. But, oh man. So I don't like dealing with a lot of people, and uh, all of those people are adults who I'd have to deal with, work with, do all of this stuff with. And so, even less so, I would want to deal with a bunch of kids. Like, that's how it goes. So, that's like the gist of where most of my this is kind of dead sort of thing comes from. I mean, the other half to that other elephant in the room is the pay. Like, pay them more. Or, I mean, on the other side, everybody just quit, which, I mean, plenty of teachers are doing that. Yeah, I don't know. That's a rough one. Um, your place of work might get shot up by a disgruntled kid. You might just get punched in the face by a disgruntled kid because, like, might just happen, whatever. Uh, Cussed out by a disgruntled kid. Constant announcements coming over the PSA thing uh, at school while you're working. That would be annoying, super annoying. Work life balance. I'm pretty sure I remember plenty of times where a teacher is talking about having to take work home and grade certain things overnight or something like that. Like, what? I'm not I'm not taking a set of plans home and doing some plan work or whatnot. So that's nah. Oh, that's crazy. So you're overworking past 40 hours a week for way lower pay in a much more annoying environment. Man. So yeah, I should probably just erase this one. But anyways, yeah. But for y'all who chose that, keep doing it. Keep going. My kid's gonna be going to school soon. My daughter's 4, by the way. So, lawyer next. I got a DUI once because I was drinking and I didn't care. Now I do care because I'm sober. Another story, another video. You can check out the other ones on my channel. Lawyers, man. So, of course, the money's there. Just hit that off the back. That's cool. Um, I'm not sure. Like, so on one side, just putting people who probably did something bad away for however long that's going to happen. So that might be somewhat fulfilling. On the other hand, defending people who probably murdered an entire family and then burned the bodies or something like that. I mean, that's rough, regardless of what you get paid. Like, I mean, of course, you could be like traffic court or marriage law or, uh, I don't know, corporate law or something like that. And I wouldn't say any of the, well, I mean, maybe like family law, if you can like get a whole bunch of dudes off from having to pay child support or something like that. If you're like some single dude, that might be fulfilling or something. I don't know, but this is a tricky one. I mean, I don't like almost anything involved in law, but I mean, if we're just judging on the basic aspects, and when I say by that is like I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of reading. I guess ChatGPT kind of makes that a little bit easier now, but constantly reading, constantly looking up the new laws coming out about this or that, writing out a bunch of stuff, making sure it vibes with the law. It's just stuff that, like, I like more mathematical leaning things, which is why I've leaned into engineering as a career field and construction and estimating, which is almost purely numbers. Like, how much does this material cost? Also, how much material that's almost the gist of what my job is. the law side kind of goes onto the completely other side of my brain, to where it's all of this talking and remembering stuff and showing up and being personable and charismatic and all of that sort of stuff. Hey, True. Hey, I'm making a video. All right. My daughter interrupted another video. um, but a lawyer, I think I'm gonna have to take a pass. But if I had to see myself fitting somewhere, it would be like corporate law, and I'm just going straight after the bag. I'm trying to be at like 3 to 500 a year to read all of them daggone papers and all of that history. Um, Doctor. Ooh. One of the things that, before we go too much, well, we only have one more after Doctor, but let me kind of back this all the way up. One of the other super important things about my career field, which I don't remember if I've mentioned this at the beginning. You guys probably, I don't know, comment or something like that, but, or I guess I'll just rewatch the video too, is the fact that you don't need a college degree to do what I do. So yes, I did mention upwards of like 114,000 that I've made in this career field. I have an associate's myself, but I also have worked with people who didn't have any sort of degree or certification, like, because there's a lead certification, there is maybe like one or two other that you can get for, I think it's like a professional PE, professional engineering, but there may be like one or two other ones, but that, or maybe an engineering degree, there's a few ways that you get into this, and I didn't necessarily have to get a bachelor's to get into engineering, which of course that would be almost counterintuitive, because most people would assume that to get into some sort of engineering facet you needed an engineering degree. Not for my career field. And I think, I mean, I've met people who have kind of transferred in from all the different types of things, but I mean, I've met people who just were just working in the field doing something else completely, but kind of knew a bunch of different aspects of things, like kind of had gotten the construction experience and just kind of transferred over to what I do now. But backing that up, nursing, you're in deep 4 years at least, if you're not specialized. Software development, that's one to where you can kind of learn it on your own to really break into, like a corporate America sort of position, your Googles, your Amazons, your, what was that, Fang, Facebook, and Netflix. Um, you might need to have some sort of credentials, or maybe get like an Amazon certificate or something like that. Human resources, I'm pretty sure you need a degree. I'm pretty sure you need at least an associate's, but you probably need a bachelor's. I'm pretty sure for human resources. Teacher, we all know. I mean, you're probably going to need probably at least need a master's to get into teaching, which masters, low pay, rough environment because of kids, especially today's kids in 2024. Uh, just a lot of bad stuff. Just the ROI is just blowing my brain right about now. Lawyers, I think you're gonna need your, like, an MBA, or you're gonna need almost just as much time as you need with your doctor, or as your doctor, because you need a doctorate in law, or the law degree, and to pass the bar. And and then now we're the doctor. So we're looking at like 8 to 10 years plus residency, plus maybe even like an intern or something. Um, man, but it could be worth it, on the doctor side of things. I mean, according to what sort of doctor you are, um, I don't think. Let me see. I don't think you need to get a doctorate to be a chiropractor, but I'm probably wrong about that. Trying to think of what specialties like. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing, but I think as the doctor, from like the lowest specialty to the more specialized kind of things. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could probably get over right over $1 million a year as a doctor in some sort of specialties, but it probably range between like 150 a year to like 500,000 a year. Um, Salary range, which for the ones making 150, because I'm almost, I mean, what is that, 35 away from 115 or 114? Uh, 40, yeah. So, I mean, that's like a part-time job for me, or, YouTube or whatever other thing away from me from where I would be at just doing what I do now. And I haven't even like hit my peak because I'm only at 115, and we can peak out probably between 130 and 150 according to what I go into. So, but if you're shooting for something better specialized, like a cardiac, um, I don't know, doctor, or like I don't know about a neuroscientist or neurosurgeon, but maybe someone who specializes in like arteries or whatever, something. Get specialized and do that. And maybe even on top of all of that, uh, start your own practice or something like that. Definitely for this beast, there is no, you know, income based repayment. And I'm kind of, I'm right about on the edge of getting into this too. But when you don't have the bachelor's or really even any need for a degree per se to go into the career field, you're also kind of subtracting that cost from what it is. And this cost is so heavy. I mean, of course, a lawyer would be probably somewhere around, in the same ballpark or something like that. But like, we're looking at someone who like maybe tried to put a dent into it, maybe saved up, or maybe was working as a doctor, coming out with maybe like 150,000 in debt after school. But it wouldn't be completely unreasonable to see a quarter million to $1 million in debt to become a doctor, according to what school you go to, according to how long it takes you. I don't know. That one's a rough one. I mean, just the person who I am, I don't want to have to deal with people who are sick and hurt and in like the worst moment of their lives, possibly bleeding everywhere. I just don't want to see blood in general at work, like on a daily basis. Um, so, hey, but keep being doctors. The guys who are doctors, that's cool. And finally, real estate. So that's kind of one of the ones that my wife asked me about getting into, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Said that I would be good at that. I'm not sure about that. And this one is very varied. I'm starting to figure out too. In that, like, one, nowadays, because of this massive change, this massive law that just came in, kind of kicked in maybe like a month or two ago, something like that, the salaries will be going down for real estate agents. Um, but it can vary from like someone doing it part time and maybe only making like a few $100s a month to someone selling like high tier um, condos or real estate in California to millionaires, making millions themselves per year, or at least hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. So that side of it is dope. You're dealing with someone who wants a product that you're selling, not someone that you're really having to convince. I mean, I don't know how do you convince someone into a house, but I guess we also did do that, and that's what caused the 2008 housing crash. Um, Real estate, you get to do kind of what you want to do. I almost see real estate as being like YouTube before the internet, Like you get to kind of make your own time. You get to figure out how hard you want to work, how many people you want to see, and how you want to do all of that really, unless you work for some sort of real estate company and have to conform with their rules or whatever. Um, I kind of could see why my wife actually suggested it to me now, because it kind of feels uh like you're your own boss. You get to set your own schedule. I work hard, so I know I could probably hit what I would need to hit to do what I would need to do in the field. And you can be wrong. You can be grossly negligent and wrong as a real estate agent and still make it. Like, it's not regulated to where, like, let's say you sell someone a crappy house, which is kind of not on you because they would have to have an inspector inspect the house, or they should have an inspector inspect the house. Maybe something that you would or wouldn't tell them to do, but as a good real estate agent, you probably should tell them that they should have the house inspected, or at the very least, just walk through the house or something like that. But you could do that, sell someone a crappy house, and it wouldn't really like change anything. Like, maybe if you have something posted on Google because you have your own real estate company, then maybe somebody might like review you badly, but okay. So, um, I real estate agents, I'd say that it's not too far removed from like what I would like per se in a job, I think. But there's just so many different ways that you could run that process of becoming an S or becoming a real estate agent and being a real estate agent while you're one. Uh, and you also have to take into account that, like, I think the average real estate agent, because you have such a vast difference in people who are doing it constantly and consistently, and people who do it part time, or in cahoots with a main job that they do normally, and then they do that on maybe the weekend or something like that. But I'd say maybe like 50,000 is like probably the average, and then I kind of wish I had like the average for people who are actually trying to be mostly or fully real estate agents versus people who are just trying it basically or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I'd say out of these, let's uh let's see. So I know teacher will probably be on the bottom of the list for me. right above teacher would probably be like nursing, and then human resources above nursing for me. And then maybe doctor above nursing, or doctor above human resources, just because the pay is there, even though it's not that much different to me. I, in some instances, as crazy as this sounds, I've almost seen nurses be or do as much as doctors. I'm not going to say be as knowledgeable because who knows, but do as much. But anyway, so doctor would come above human resources for me. Then it would be lawyer above doctor, real estate agent above lawyer, and then maybe software development at the top, just because of this, the pay, the environment. You can work from home. You can work from home as a software developer and make just as much, if not more, than a doctor without the baggage of the degree or the cost of the degree or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of where I'll put it at. I'm still kind of in the middle in between software development and estimating as which one to kind of lean for, because it's I feel like estimating probably gives you a little bit more personal or human interaction than development would, but give and take. Salary is a big take to ask for, so yeah. But all right, that is this video. Just wanted to compare these different careers for you guys to see what I do compared to what you've known before, so that you get a better understanding of what it is I do and why it is that I do what I do, and why I try to teach it to you guys. Check the link in the description and everything else that's in the description down there. And like, share, subscribe. That all helps this channel grow, which helps other people like yourself find my videos, become informed, maybe even decide to take on this career as their career and transition from whatever it is that they hate doing to something that's going to make them more money and let them hate what they're doing less. So help them find it. All right. Bye.